What's going on, AIM Squad?
Yes, welcome back, welcome back.
It is the end of week 4, going into week 5.
Wow, a month has gone of football already?
That's crazy. That's crazy. And on top of that, a lot's happened.
Yeah, lots have happened.
My
But
goodness.
Week 5, the month of spooky season. Spooky month, that's what I want to call it.
And it definitely started off with a very spooky vibe.
Yes.
You know, we had some key injuries
Yeah, a lot.
that maybe shake up some potential Super Bowl front runners. You know, we had some underwhelming kind of teams. You've had a lot.
A lot.
We got lots to talk about. But, you know, we can kind of get things started with our game of the weeks on Sunday.
Yeah, we can start it off. We had 3 games of the week. You and I both had 2 games we had called the same,
Yeah.
and 1 we were against.
Yeah, and going into it, our records were Ulner, you were 4-5.
Yes.
And I was a tough 2-7.
It's all right. But things changed this week.
Spooky.
Past week, it did.
Spooky.
First game, let's get it started.
All right.
We had Minnesota, Green Bay.
Yeah.
We had Green Bay favored -3. Jordan Love was making his comeback. I was all in on Jordan Love for his comeback. I was ready for him to come out. I watched the game, and that missed field goal they had, the second possession they had,
Yeah.
that changed everything. Sam Darnold came down to marching through Green Bay.
Yeah.
Marched through a defense, scored 28 points in the first half.
Yeah.
That game was done.
It's
And
over.
then all of a sudden, Green Bay in the second half decided to show who they really are, or Jordan Love felt comfortable, end up losing the game by 3, which the
Yeah.
spread should have been the other way around.
Yep.
But I took the loss, and you finally got a W.
Big dub.
Big dub. What was your insight about this game that really you loved and enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we talked about earlier. Like, I think Jordan Love was going to play an impact, but, you know, we talked about it. I think if something rattled him, whether it was a hit or deep pressure or, you know, an early lead by the Vikings, it was going to take some time to get him to come back, especially coming out from an injury. That's exactly what we saw. Sam Darnold kept bringing the pressure. 4 TDs later and a whole half later, did Jordan Love finally feel comfortable enough to make the climb back? But at that point, it was too late. And so now I think going forward, I'm sure Jordan Love is a little bit more comfortable. I think he's more back in his element, kind of got the jitters out, got the spookiness out.
Yeah.
And now he's back to kind of playing in that Jordan Love mentality, which I can imagine will be a boon for Green Bay,
For
all the cheeseheads, the Packers squad. But overall, you know, I'm glad I was able to take the win with Minnesota covering at +3.
All right.
But that was the game number 1. That was I know
That was just game of the one.
that was game number 1, right? And so we hope you guys got that on your first leg, and you guys, you know, either tailed me or tailed Ulner, but you know, hopefully you got a straight bet. But either way, we had game number 2, and this is where game number 2. I know you, me, both rode together on this one.
We did, yeah.
But some interesting things. We had KC versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And
yes.
KC was favored -7. And we both took the Chargers at +7. Right? And we both pushed. It was a push. Our first push ever in AIM Sports history.
Yes.
And so that's going to go down in the tie column. But Alden, I'll throw it to you. What was your key takeaway with that game, man? Lots happened there.
It was a tough divisional game.
Yeah.
Watching the game, I saw it was like a playoff game, nitty gritty. Teams were trying to figure each other out. At the same time, they kind of did figure each other out, and wasn't giving each other's quarterbacks the chance to go for that Hail Mary. Yes, Patty Mahomes is Patty Mahomes, and he'll go and try it any time of the day.
Yeah.
But I still felt Herbert was still a little injured. That offense still needs to. They're still running first, but they still need to get their passing game going.
Yeah.
And we saw an injury happen too,
Man.
which is tough. But I'll let you get into that injury. But I'll talk about what I saw aside from the game. Post injury, Patty Mahomes is Patty Mahomes.
Of course.
That man will come out. It doesn't matter who he has. He could have you and I out there catching balls, and we'd be having monster games. So again, Kelsey was not there. Patty Mahomes played his game, and he found a way to come out and win the game. And they won exactly by 7 on a big, big divisional game.
Yep.
We got the push. I'm happy with it. Casey looks dangerous. They might three-peat this year, but we'll find out with that. But speaking on injury, what was your intake on this game?
It was, you know, I think you brought up a good point. Patty Mahomes is Patty Mahomes, right? I mean, even with us going +7, you know, yes, we both pushed. Yes, we were right, but they still got the W somehow, right? It's just Patty Mahomes
You
doing.
said it too last week.
You know, like I have PTSD from whoever going against Patty Mahomes, and this shows that this guy still somehow, you know, is coming out strong, even in spite of the fact that he lost his number 1 wide receiver, but also the number 1 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice.
Yes.
Prayers
up to you, brother.
Prayers, man. Like that was a tough hit.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a And it was such a freak accident.
It was.
It was such a freak accident. Like, you got picked, and Mahomes being a quarterback, you're not gonna tackle with your shoulder. You're gonna kind of body down, and that's exactly what happened. It was a missed time. And
wrong place, wrong time. But
and I think that's what it was. So it was tough, right? Outside of that, like you mentioned, Kelsey, still nowhere to be found in pay dirt, right? He still has a big goose egg in terms of the touchdown. Hasn't scored one yet this season. Sure, he picked up 89 yards, great, but for someone of Kelsey's caliber, he should be at least one touchdown by now. Like, how does he not have one? Right?
At least, right? So
it was crazy. But Kareem Hunt stepping up into the role.
Sure.
So that was interesting to be seen. Keep an eye on Kareem Hunt. If he's still on your waiver wire, pick him up because he's leading the backfield right now.
Yeah, they said he's might start on Monday against the Saints, so
which is gonna be good. Hey, you know what? Kareem Hunt versus a Kamara matchup.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting to see.
That's crazy.
But that's for the next episode when we get into Sunday's game, if that's the game of the week. But going into our third game, we got a big game. We had a good Sunday night showdown
prime time
between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
All I gotta say first is King Henry.
Jeez.
That's all you gotta say.
That's all you gotta say.
First possession, they got the ball. King Henry, 87 yards, untouched, gone. That man's a beast. Like you had to witness to see it. And that it was a beautiful sight to see. Like that was pure football, big running back football, old school, straight down the line, end zone or nothing, and that's what he did.
And what's crazy is that we also thought here at AIM Sports that he was going to have a breakout year because he was playing like how he's been playing behind a Tennessee Titans offense.
Exactly.
And now with an actual formidable offense behind the Ravens, he's going to be doing this over and over again. He was a yard short from 200 yards.
Yeah, I know.
A yard short.
I know.
A yard short.
A yard.
But you know what? You're right. King Henry all the way. Luckily, you and I both called it for Baltimore minus 2.5. And we both hit on that one. So, you know what? After all of our analysis, after the back and forth, after the curse, or the success of Patty Mahomes, however you want to call it, we got our first ever push and our first tie in the tie column, bringing our new records for our Sunday and Monday games. At Ulner, you're 5-6-1.
Yes.
And I'm now 4-7-1.
Oh, there we go.
So we're right there.
Yep.
But we'll get into the Sunday game of the weeks in our next episode. But let's close out our last week's calls. Moving on to the trending bet. So we had Devon A-Chain as an anytime TD scorer. What did you see, and why? Did it happen? Did it not happen? What happened?
This game was Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yes.
They played the Tennessee Titans team. And they brought in Huntley from Baltimore, played last year, who has good quarterback experience. Yeah. It's not like he's never played in the NFL before. A lot more experience than whoever Skyler, sure. Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But for you to have Mostert injured, you have Waddle, you have Hill, and you have H.N. in the backfield. They weren't able to do anything. They kicked a lot of field goals that game.
Yeah.
It only brought it to life where it was in the third quarter where they got down to almost 1 yard to the end zone.
Yeah.
They handed it off to H.N. twice, and he wasn't able to get it.
No.
And the third one, Huntley ran it himself. We were that close.
A
yard away from getting H.N. into the end zone for our trending bet to hit.
Yeah.
But we'll take the loss to the chin.
That's what it is.
It's okay. We got this week coming up. We got Thursday Night Football coming up tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's going to be fun.
And
so
hopefully they offset the loss from the trending bet off of our Game of the Week calls.
Yes. So there we go. We got something there. But, yeah, it wasn't fun to watch.
Especially by a yard. I
know. 1 yard. It was so close.
And I guess it makes sense. Huntley, coming from the Baltimore Ravens, seeing how Lamar Jackson plays, I think wanted to rush by himself a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it was...
because he came from the style of that
football,
did,
yeah.
But even then, you see frustration with Hill, the coach.
Yeah.
Miami's in a disaster here right now. Haven't led a game all season.
Yeah.
All season with the firepower they have, and you have not led a game all season, you need to rethink your strategy or figure out something quick because trade deadline's coming in 2 weeks.
It is. Yeah.
If they don't make any moves, is this the roster you think will get you to the promised land? As of now, it doesn't look like it.
No, and I think they lost their QB. It's going to be a tough comeback, especially with Tyreek Hill. Like he's a cheetah, but he needs a proper QB.
Oh, for sure.
So wild card question. One answer.
Yeah.
You think Hill's going to be a Dolphin by the end of the season?
I want to say yes, The only reason is because the money that he signed for, that no other team is willing to give up that money to pay for him.
Sure.
I feel like he will play the year out and the offseason say he wants out.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on Tua's decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people Tua should retire depending on how he comes back. But at the end of the day, the NFL is the NFL. It's a business.
Yeah.
And if he says he wants out, like you've seen the Antonio Brown saga, players don't want to play. They'll just walk out and say, hey, I don't want to play.
Done.
Send me out.
Yeah.
But as of now, I think he's going to stay. He's a team player. I don't think he's going to go on and just abandon his team, especially abandon Tua. I think he's going to be a Dolphin by the end of the year.
All right. I respect that. That's fair. I mean, hey, you know what? We're still early stage. You know, we're going into week 5 now, so still lots of football to go. Things could easily change, as we saw with injuries, which leads us to our 3-leg parlay that we had set out for Sunday Night Football. Mm-hmm. So we had our Patty Mahomes over 1.5 TD. Unfortunately,
he got one. Worthy, that nice, beautiful throw, but then Rashee Rice got injured.
That's where it was, man. Rashee Rice was going to be his number 2, but unfortunately he got injured, and Mahomes unfortunately did not get the second touchdown that we were hoping for.
I even thought Kelsey would even get one, would offset it, at least Rashee Rice. And Kelsey
couldn't. But Kelsey, come on, man.
Like, it's okay.
I think he's hiding behind the shadows of Miss Swift.
Yeah, I guess so. He became a Swiftie. Softie. Sorry,
Swiftie. Yes, Swiftie.
Swiftie, yeah, sorry. And so, we had that. And then we had Aaron Rodgers to throw for 2. That game was raining. That game was a weird game.
Low scoring in New York.
Yeah, just rain. And I felt like the wide receivers didn't know how to catch a football.
They were dropping everything.
Yeah. Wilson was dropping. Lazard was dropping catches he was making the week before when he scored 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall couldn't even catch the football properly.
Breece Hall had one of the most underwhelming games I've ever seen in his career. That was ridiculous.
And the first, 4 games you've been having at least a passing touchdown a game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you couldn't catch a football or even run through a Denver Broncos team. So Aaron Rodgers gave us 0, which gave us another loss.
Yep.
But we had 1 check mark, though.
We did.
What was our check mark?
It was Mr. Joe Burrow from the Bengals, over 1.5 TDs, so getting 2 touchdowns or more.
Yeah.
And he hit.
So, hey, that was a good one.
That was a good one. You know what? Like, it goes to show that the Bengals are on the up and up, right? They're firing, like, they're throwing the ball. You got, the wide receiver core ready to go.
Yeah.
And, hey, Joe Burrow is finally stepping into his element, right?
Well, they needed that win, and he came out and showed. Jamar Chase came out to play. Higgins played.
That's it.
They played. So we went 1 out of 3 on our same game parlay.
Yeah. So
we're 1-1.
We're 1-1. I mean, but hey, you know what? Like, we're going to, keep moving forward. That's all we can do. Yeah. So hopefully, for AIM Squad listeners, if you've tailed the Game of the Week parlay, however you kind of set it up, you would have hit because, the KC game did push.
Yes, it did, yeah.
But the actual ticket still hit. So there's a dub for you guys there. Hopefully you guys tailed. Hopefully you guys ate with us, which leads us to our last segment of our Sunday night fantasy, which was our fantasy lineup for the day. So our goal, of course, is to get you above the century marker.
Yes, correct.
We fall within the ESPN guidelines of 1 per position, except with the running back we pick 2, with wide receivers pick 2. So, Ulner, we had Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we did good there.
We did.
We did really well there.
Picked up 16.3 points.
Yeah.
That was solid. But our running backs, Breece Hall and James Conner.
Breece Hall went one way, James Conner went another way.
Like night and day difference.
Like, that's exactly what it was.
Breece, 3.8 points. Yeah. Come on, Breece.
Come on,
Breece. Yeah. James Conner, a nice 18.3 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So thanks for offsetting that. And then our wide receivers. We had Shakir.
Yep.
Which, got us a decent 10.2. And then we had Rashee Rice.
Yes.
As our second one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Rashee Rice got injured. Prayers, he gets well soon.
Got a goose egg on that one, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that was a tough one.
And then our tight end.
Yes.
Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, it just was a no-show. Like, no. That's what it is. We'll skip to that one.
Yeah, we'll skip that. But
our defense.
We made a solid call on the defense, and we hope you guys got that one. Yep. It was the San Francisco 49ers. They picked up a whopping 23 points as a defense.
Whopping.
Like, huge.
Huge.
Right? Which leaving to our last kicker, Jason Myers from Seattle. Picked up 2 points.
Well, that was a shootout. There was no field goal that game.
Yeah,
that game was just straight
extra points.
Straight tutties.
Yeah.
They had the opportunity to go for it, but because they were down, they went on 4th down, which didn't allow Myers to go. There was also another point in the game, too, where they had the chance, but because of penalties, they went to punting,
right,
which didn't allow Myers to get points for us. So overall, that wasn't a really good for us, and we ended up getting 73.7 points.
That was tough.
That was tough.
Tough week.
It's okay.
Tough week.
Okay.
Lots of injuries, lots of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I think you and I talked about this. I think at this point in fantasy, we should forego tight ends and just give me an extra flex.
Honestly, at this point. But let's see. Maybe it'll change.
Oh, man.
But let's just skip to that one and start fresh this week.
Week 5. Thursday Night Football. And we keep our record separate for TNF.
Yes, we do.
Because of shortened weeks, injuries, stuff like that. So, Ulner, what's your record going into this week, brother?
My record going into this week is even 2-2.
Okay.
Thursday nights have been either good to me or they've been, okay to me. How about yourself, brother?
I wish I could say the same, sir. I really do. We finishing week 4, going to week 5. I'm still searching for my first win on Thursday Night Football. Thursday football just doesn't like me. I like it. Thursday primetime, but it evidently doesn't like me.
Yeah.
So, the hope here is week 5. Spooky season.
Yes.
Can I get and squeeze out a W?
Yes.
And the game for Thursday Night Football is a big game.
Oh, it's a really big game.
It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
versus
against the Atlanta Falcons.
At AIM Sports Betting, we love divisional matchups.
We love these. Bring it on. All right. Now, the Falcons are currently favored by Vegas at -1.5.
Yep.
All right. So, Ulner, I'm going to throw it to you first, brother. What is your take on Thursday Night Football for Week 5? Your analysis. Give me the whys, give me the calls, and let the people know.
Okay, so let's start off with here. We have 2 divisional teams that are coming off big wins last week. We got Tampa Bay destroying Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We got Atlanta coming out with a win against the New Orleans Saints. The same way they came on and beat Philadelphia a week before that as well, too. Now you have teams that both beat Philly. You got a team that beat the Saints already in the division matchup in Atlanta. Now you're going to play a Tampa Bay another division game, which you're going to go play another division game next week against Carolina while Tampa Bay goes plays New Orleans. That's a lot of math and strings to attach and a lot to do.
Yeah.
But to me, the record is 3-1. A team is 3-1 and they are not favored.
That's crazy to me.
Against a team that's 2-2, which doesn't add up to me for some sense.
Yeah.
But this game's going to be fun tomorrow. This game is going to be a good playoff football game.
Yeah.
This game tomorrow may or break the division leader.
Yeah.
If Tampa wins tomorrow, they go 4-1. Atlanta will go down to 2-3. Saints may win Monday night, lose Monday night. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see for that. Carolina doesn't look like they're going to go out, so they'll be going down 1-4. They're not in the question as of yet.
Yeah.
You cannot fall down 2 games back in the division.
No.
Knowing you're playing somebody else and they're going to go play another division team.
Yeah.
And then say, for example, the Saints win and they go next week and Saints beat Tampa Bay and now Atlanta goes to 3rd. Because you beat the team.
Yeah.
You lost to Tampa, you beat New Orleans, but now you're sitting in 3rd place in division. How does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this game is going to be fun in the Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I feel all of Migos going to come out there. Everybody, Ludacris, everyone's going to come out. From Atlanta, I'm taking Atlanta -1.5. Another thing, too, is there's also officiating that we talk about here in sports
betting. That's
a
3rd player. That's an important player on the field.
That's a really important player. And this player apparently loves visiting teams.
Yeah.
He's reffed the game last week against Denver and the Jets.
Yep.
Denver came out plus 8.5 dogs came out to win that game, all right. Week before that, he reffed Ravens versus Cowboys.
Yep.
Ravens were the road team.
Yep.
Ravens came out -1, not favored. They were favored.
Yep.
Came out and won. That's 2 visiting teams he's come out and won. On a short week on a Thursday, do you think it'll happen 3 times, your shot? During spooky season? I don't think so. Oh. Me personally, I don't think so. My gut is telling me Atlanta -1.5. Even though what you were about to say points everything towards a certain team, my gut is telling me Atlanta -1.5. I'm sticking with my gut.
Okay.
Because this is what we do here. We go with gut. I'm not changing.
And I hear you. Honestly, I really, really do. I know you're calling -1.5 for Atlanta.
Yeah, it's just...
But there's a couple of things that just don't sit right with me, especially for this game. All right? Now, I'm calling Tampa Bay +1.5 out of the gate.
Okay.
But there's a couple of reasons why.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So, first and foremost, we got to talk about arguably one of the most important players on the field. and that is the referee.
Yes, the referee's very key.
Very important. So we have Ron Tolbert officiating. Now, he's officiated 3 games this season, one on the international series. I guess they gave him week 2 off, and then he did week 3 and 4. All right. So the first week, you can't count that because it was international. Nobody was a really true home team. But weeks 3 and 4, you had Ravens being the away team, and they won, and the Broncos being the away team, and they won. So yes, the Ravens got penalized more, sure, but the Ravens have actually been, just offset that by the sheer amount of power and caliber they have in that team to offset that amount of penalties.
For sure.
No doubt about it.
They lead the league in penalties anyways.
They do. They do, yeah. They 100% do. They're a little bit kind of, early on the line. But in spite of that, they still won the game.
They still won the game, yeah.
And they were an away team, and they beat America's team in Arlington, so it was a big accomplishment. Broncos visited New York, and they beat the Jets and Rodgers at home. Once again, the visitors won. And from that sheer angle alone, I'm thinking Tampa Bay's taking this one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just stop there, right? There's also a level of understanding where I look at their ceiling in terms of who's playing good football, which I think Baker Mayfield's playing great football.
MVP candidate football right now.
100%. And then also look at the floor. So Kirk Cousins, playing maybe not so great football, decent football, sure. And I kind of see, who statistically and historically actually lines up. So there's a couple of things here, right? So Baker Mayfield, point blank, is, 2-1 straight up and against the spread on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And 7-4 against the spread in his career when on a short rest, when covering the spread in 5 straight regular games on a short rest turnaround time, right? That's why we keep Thursday night games separate
for
right?
sure.
But as an underdog on short rest, Baker Mayfield is 5-2 against the spread, making him one of the top 10 best quarterbacks with this kind of record in the NFL in the last 20 years, which is huge, all right? Going forward, obviously we have the notion that, he has lost 5 regular season night starts against the spread. Yes, we know this, right? Against the spread. 2 with the Bucks, 1 with the Rams, and 2 with the Browns. But he's obviously played 3 different teams, 3 different head coaches, 3 different offensive coordinators,
3 different schemes.
3 different schemes, everything. Right now, the team and scheme that he's playing with, it just seems to be clicking, and it's working.
Yeah.
All right? Now, though he has been tough at home, right, he has been much, much better on the road.
Oh, a lot better on the road.
Right? He's over 500 against the spread, and he's 9-8 on the road. Whereas at home, he's 4-10. So he definitely likes to be on the road a little bit more often.
Oh, he does.
Which, I think is important to note because just as his ceiling is that high, Kirk Cousins' floor is a little bit lower.
Super low.
So when we look at it, Kirk Cousins, he's 8-4 straight up in prime time in his last 12 starts. But covering the spread has been an issue, and he's only 3-7 against the spread in his last 10 primetime starts.
Yeah,
he's just I don't something about it. I don't know what's going on.
The lights are too bright for him, I think.
Especially Thursday night. You know what I mean? In his career, Cousins has made 21 home starts. And then we get it, Cousins has been around the NFL for a little bit, so maybe not the most accurate thing, sure. But more specifically, in his last 7 home primetime starts, he's 5-2 straight up.
Yeah.
But 7-14 against the spread.
Yeah, his spread numbers are not just...
They're just not looking good.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to keep in mind that not only does history play a effect, but it depends on where he's playing too. Mm-hmm. So over the last 5 seasons, Kirk Cousins is 14-27 against the spread playing indoor games.
Yeah.
Including 1-10 against the spread in his last 11 game indoor stadiums. Yep. So he's twice as likely to actually do worse and not cover the spread when he's playing indoors. And in his last 11, he's 1-10. So it doesn't actually bode well.
It doesn't, no.
For him, to be honest.
Like I said earlier, right? Anybody listening out here, my brother out here is coming with the stats, the facts.
That's what it is.
Letting us know. But
I mean,
I feel, because it's spooky season, I feel this is,
something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen, yeah.
Hey, look, I can appreciate that, and I can understand that. And I think it's important because, it is a divisional matchup. Uh-huh. So the dynamic is a little bit more, different.
For sure, yes,
right?
it is.
Like you do have people kind of coming out and having that little extra chip on their shoulder, that little rivalry. There's no doubt about it, right? But I'll also add one more thing your way. The Falcons are 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 games after a straight up win.
I think this year's different.
You think this year's different?
Yes, you made your call. I think this year's different.
Man. All right.
I'm taking the Falcons.
You're taking
Let's
the Falcons?
go Falcons. We're flying.
You're flying. Well, you know what? We're sailing with the Bucks out here. You heard it here. Thursday night calls. Ulner's rolling with Atlanta minus 1.5. I'm rolling with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 1.5. So someone's record is going to either go up or stay down, I guess.
One or the other. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But that leads us to our next segment of our Thursday Night Football special, which is our Thursday Night Fantasy Daily Lineup. Here, we don't look at points. Here, we just want to get you the best player across both teams in the best position. So in this case, we pick one quarterback. Is it going to be Kirk or is it going to be Baker? Oh, let me throw it to you first, bro.
We got to go Baker here. Baker has a hot hand right now, playing some good football.
Yeah.
He's, 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the last 4 weeks?
Baker, yeah.
Baker.
Yeah.
And you have Kirk Cousins on the other hand, who's throwing an interception and a touchdown each game. He's 4-4. Baker Mayfield is just throwing the football right. He's throwing it straight to his wide receivers. He's putting it only where his wide receivers can catch it.
Yeah.
While Kirk Cousins has a 1-2 where he'll throw it short. One will be over his head. One will be somewhere else. Hence why he's getting intercepted.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, quarterback, more points. That's it. Which leads us to our running back position.
Which, I mean, in this case, we're picking, it's quite simple, Bijan Robinson.
Yes, correct.
I mean, over Rashad White for sure.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson, top 3 fantasy pickup across everybody.
Yeah.
That's 1. 2, he had a pretty mediocre game last week, which that's not what they signed him up for. They signed him to ground and pound, get those rushing touchdowns. Sure, you're a check down option, but you're not supposed to be receiving yards. You know, that's not necessarily the role. So we're going with Bijan. I think he's going to have a bounce back game. And we at AIM Sports, Ulner and I both agree that that's exactly what's going to happen. But coming back to wide receiver, Baker's got to throw to somebody.
Who else are you going to throw to? He can throw to Evans.
Good.
He can throw to Godwin.
Good.
But with AIM Sports, we're taking Godwin.
Of course.
Like I said earlier, Atlanta gives up a lot of points to the wide receivers.
Yeah.
And so Godwin is there. He knows how to find the routes, the spaces there where he'll be able to explode. Where Mike Evans, you have a guy who will get you the first down on the third down pass. But for fantasy purposes, you want yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
And we feel Godwin will have more yards, have at least a touchdown.
For sure.
And I feel he'll be the best wide receiver out there on the field tomorrow.
I agree.
Which leads us to another passing strategy player out there in the tight end.
Yeah, and obviously Ulner had mentioned that, Kirk is averaging 1 TD and 1 pick a game. And so I think, he might try to pull that arm a little back and maybe kind of, play safer routes. And that comes down to Kyle Pitts picking up the ball on those quick slants as a tight end. So Kyle Pitts is being, we're choosing here at AIM Sports as our tight end position for TNF. But for every good offense, there's has to be better defense.
It has to be a better defense.
And so who do we think is shutting down the defense tomorrow?
Buccaneers.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers defense allows the 4th lowest fantasy points to wide receivers.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins must be 100% bullseye on target for every throw he throws to his wide receivers. One mistake could have the Buccaneers deflecting this football, giving it into their hands, and Kirk Cousins won't know what happened, what came to him, and this game could go sideways in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely.
It all takes one throw.
Yep.
And which leads to a way where you get points if Kirk Cousins throwing interceptions without throwing touchdowns is.
Which is our kicker. And Young Hoku has been Mr. Steady Leg this entire season. And he has not missed a single field goal or a single extra point all season. Just last game, he hit, I think you were saying the stadium record at 58
yards. Yeah. His personal record and stadium record,
This guy's just been steady leg. I think he's, finally coming into his own, and we believe that Young Hoku is definitely going to be, kicking a few through the uprights tomorrow. And stay tuned on Young Hoku because there's definitely an interesting component to our parlay that we want to talk about, which kind of goes right beautifully into our Thursday Night Football parlay.
So we have ourselves here a 3-leg parlay for Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
We started off by talking about Baker Mayfield's favorite wide receiver, Chris Godwin, getting the touchdown. He's going to find the open seam.
I agree.
For Chris Godwin, for any time touchdown scorer on Thursday is 2.5 times your unit.
Jeez.
which to me is a steal.
Of course.
Mike Evans is there, sure, but I think Atlanta's going to focus more on Mike Evans, have Godwin find the open area, touchdown is.
And he scored once every game except last game.
And so he's due for one.
He's due for one.
And there's another person that's also due for a touchdown as well, too.
Who didn't score last game either.
Exactly. Is?
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and obviously it makes sense. They kind of hired him and signed him up just for that reason.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't score. He had a mediocre game last game, receiving or rushing, however you look at it, but he didn't score. He's coming back hungry this time around.
Hell yeah, he's finding the end zone. And to get Bijan finding the end zone, it's at 1.8 times your unit.
That's solid.
Which is solid for both these teams to have a nice firepower on the team that they have.
Yeah.
For these two gentlemen to find the end zone,
wow.
like something's not right, or we're just not seeing it. But this looks spooky. They're both finding the end zone there.
Oh, for sure.
Which also leads us to
kind of what we alluded to earlier with
Yes.
Mr. Steady Leg. We have our first field goal prop ever for our 3-leg parlay. We're calling over 2.5.
Yes.
Or, as some people say, 3 or more field goals in the entire game across both teams.
Both teams.
And that's coming at 1.33 times your unit. So, collectively,
Yes.
Chris Godwin, anytime TD. Over 2.5 field goals in the game. And anytime TD for Bijan Robinson. All three together bring a nice, healthy times 6.5 your unit.
6.5 times your unit.
That is unreal.
6.5.
That's solid to me.
It just looks so beautiful.
And yet so simple.
Yet so simple. Baker loves to throw the football.
Yep.
Chris Godwin touchdown.
Bijan loves to rush.
Bijan touchdown. And then you have
Young Hoku.
who just doesn't miss
Yeah.
on kicks.
At home, indoor stadium. It's going to be steady weather tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at Atlanta, the way that they were playing recently, they've fallen on his back. They've allowed him to kick it. They don't go
They
for
trust
it for
him.
They trust him, and that's how they're getting their points to keep the games close that they've either won or lost in.
Yeah.
So there you go. You guys heard it first. 3-leg parlay. Godwin touchdown anytime. Bijan anytime touchdown. Over 2.5. So 3 field goals in the game. 6.5 times your unit. Let's have some fun with this.
It's going to hit. And that actually leads us perfectly into our trending bet, which we already spoke to, which is Chris Godwin, anytime touchdown tomorrow. Lock that in as a straight. Lock it in as a parlay.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, you do it. Have fun. Bet what you can afford. But lock Godwin in.
Yes.
But before we let you guys all go off of this Thursday night football episode of Week 5, we're going to share some games of interest that will be dropping for you on Saturday when we announce the official game of the weeks for upcoming Sunday.
All right.
So what are some of the games of interest here?
Once again, AIM Sports, we love divisional games.
That's it.
So we got Baltimore and Cincy.
Yeah.
We got Joe Burrow. Can he overcome Lamar Jackson and get a W to keep him alive in the race for the division?
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun game. Can Cincy come back? Can they hold Henry from his running game? Can they stop him from his running game? Can Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have the connection that they've had last year? We'll have to find out and see.
Yeah.
Maybe the game of the week.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our second game with another divisional matchup here, which I would never imagined it to be these two teams with the same record. It's Miami Dolphins versus New England Patriots. I think it's going to be a very important game to otherwise discover the future of Miami Dolphins in a post-Tua world. It's going to be important. Unfortunately, Miami does, in fact, sit lower than New England Patriots in spite of the firepower that they do have on their team. But it'll be an interesting matchup to see if there's any changes come about, either on the field or off the field.
Yeah, which leads us to another AFC matchup.
Yeah.
But a different headline, non-division game. You got the Buffalo defense facing off Stephon Diggs and the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. You're going to see a lot of friendships turn to foes, turn to enemies when on the field. But friends off the field.
Yeah.
But this could be a good game. Buffalo came off a loss against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Houston just came off a win against Jacksonville.
And Tank Dell's coming back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tank Dell's coming back, so they're getting more firepower on their end.
Yep.
Buffalo defense is one of the nicest defenses out there.
For sure.
They may have their injuries, but we'll see if that's the game of the week.
We'll see. Which brings us to another interesting game between a cross-conference game between the Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
Saints definitely playing some good football as of late. As we have some key NFC South matchups happening this week, it's important for the Saints to still stay in the running. And the Chiefs are going to discover a post-Rashee Rice kind of world. Will Kelsey finally step up and get a TD and find pay dirt? Is Juju going to step up? Watson, Xavier, there's so many options. But it'll be an interesting game because it definitely changes things up here for them.
Yeah, which leads us to another game. Dallas and Pittsburgh. It's a Sunday night game, prime time. These two have faced, 3 times in the Super Bowl before?
Yep.
Games are going to be fun. You're going to see a good matchup here. You're going to see a Justin Fields quarterback, different style of Pittsburgh. You have Pittsburgh defense coming after Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun matchup.
It definitely will be.
But stay tuned to see if this is going to be a game of the week.
That TBD.
Yes.
Which another game of interest, another divisional matchup here between the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are 0-4. Indianapolis is 2-2. This is an interesting game because a win by the Colts here could actually put a nail in the coffin for the Jacksonville's playoff hopes for the rest of the year here. And this is going to be in Jacksonville. So what will happen? With TBD.
You got Joe Flacco being quarterback too, Richardson out too, so
definitely. So I think things will definitely change, and maybe it just in fact might be the nail in the coffin for Trevor Lawrence and company, but we'll to be seen.
And then we have another divisional game since we love here out in the NFC. We got the Arizona Cardinals versus San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
You got Kyle Murray getting very comfortable with Harrison. They're gelling really well. Then you got San Francisco, who has a lot of injuries. Got back some people last week. They showed some life. Hopefully they get some more back this week. We know what CMC's out for another month. So they have to relax on that. But this is going to be a fun divisional game. And stay tuned to see if this is a game of the week.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Those are the games of the interest. We'll fill you in on Saturday's drop for Week 5, Episode 2. Which games are the 3 games of the week that hopefully you can tail on the parlay, on the straight, and eat with us.
Yes.
But here, obviously, as you know, we'll do a quick sum up. And we'll let you guys go. We got Tampa Bay, Atlanta for Thursday night primetime football.
Yep.
My brother Ulner calling Atlanta -1.5.
Yes.
Flatbirds. Flatbird. Look at this guy. I'm calling Tampa Bay +1.5. Sail, guys, sail. And then we have Thursday night fantasy. We got quarterback Baker Mayfield, running back Bijan Robinson, wide receiver Chris Godwin. Tight end Kyle Pitts. The defense is the Bucs defense. The kicker Young-Ho Koo.
Which leads us to our 3-leg parlay. We got Godwin anytime touchdown score, Bijan anytime touchdown score with over 2.5 field goals in the game. All 3 together is 6.5 times your unit. Lock that in, which also leads us to our trending bet, which is Godwin anytime touchdown score at 2.5 times your unit. Apologize. Lock that in as well too.
And there you go.
If you've heard our game of the interests of the week, you'll stay tuned to find out for those. From AIM Sports Betting.
That's it.
Get your licorice, your pumpkin,
Skittles,
all your spooky candy ready.
Get ready for Halloween football.
Get ready Halloween. Get ready for October football.
That's it.
Bet what you can afford.
Have fun.
Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Thursday. Get ready for the weekend. And we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Peace.